Now I don't want you to feel left out that I haven't covered every type of tool. So let's go up here and look at it. There are some tools I have not covered, and let's actually get rid of the inspector here. So let's look at them. There's the button tool. Well, we haven't created scripts, so we're not really going to create buttons. We have the portal tool, that's for relationships. We have the new chart tool, and we also have a web viewer. So there's 4 of them we really haven't covered here. If it wasn't clear here, here's a format painter which we use from the menus, and I probably didn't point that out before. But there's 4 we haven't done yet. Well, I'm going to give you 2 of them right now, real simple examples. And the other 2 I'm going to skip and wait till we come to those sections because they're more complicated. And what I'm going to do is, instead of those 2 examples of portals and charting, I'm going to give you 2 other tips for layout mode. So let's go ahead and try a button. We'll click on the button tool, go ahead and draw ourselves a button, and it comes up and asks us, what do we want? Well, we want to do something very simple here because we don't want to get too far into script. So I'm going to come down here to enter fine mode. I'm not going to change any other option over here. These are options for the script step. We'll do that later. We're going to look at, do we want to do rectangular or rounded? Well, I'm just going to stick with the rectangular button. And then change two-hand cursor over button. That's typically a good thing to have. So we're going to leave that checked. Click OK. Gives us a chance to write in there. We write what we want in there. Click out, and now we have a button. Very simple button, but it does something very interesting. And let's go ahead and, before we get out of here, show our button. There's a little gray line. I don't know if you saw that little subtle difference. Now buttons have these badges on them, so you can see that, because you can turn anything to a button. I could make this field a button if I wanted to. I just go ahead and use button setup. That's the same thing as double clicking on an existing button. You'll get this dialog. So you can define literally anything as a button. It could be this little text label up here. So being able to have this little gray outline on it will distinguish which objects are buttons and which ones aren't. So I'm going to leave that on for right now. I think that's pretty handy. And so let's go into browse mode and see how it works. We'll hit that find, and you see we go right into find mode. Very easy to do. It's the same thing if we cancel the find as just hitting this find button. Exactly the same thing. So we'll cancel that again. So what this allows you to do with scripting, just to give you a brief overview, is you could get rid of the status toolbar. Because if you have duplicated all the functionality that you want, because you might not want all this functionality, you can hide this and gain back valuable screen real estate to put your solution in there. And even though this is very good looking, maybe this doesn't go along with your interface anyhow. So there's a lot of reason to hide that area there. And you may end up doing that and doing everything with buttons, or at least the things you want with buttons. So it's up to you. It's a personal preference, but I'm going to teach that way to get rid of the status toolbar eventually. So you may want to start thinking about this, how you might like that idea or might not like it. But that's really the way most professional developers design solutions. And that's what we're trying to teach you to be here. So we'll go back into layout mode. And what we're going to do next is look at a web viewer. In order to do that, we're going to need another tab. So I'm going to double click on this. We're going to call this website. Actually, I think we'll call it Google. We're going to do a very simple web viewer. And what a web viewer is just a web browser inside of FileMaker. You do have a script step, like we just did here, that will actually go ahead and allow you to open up your default web browser with information from a field in here, like you might have a field called website and type it in there and it'll allow you to open that up. But sometimes you'll need a little bit of space and you don't want to leave FileMaker, and you can put it anywhere you want, a little mini web browser. But before we do that, let's go ahead and make this field a little bit smaller so it doesn't cover that up. That should be just fine. And so inside here I'm going to go and click on my web viewer, draw it in here, and then there's a lot of stuff going on in here. We're going to do a very simple version of it. So disregard all this stuff down really below here. We're going to go over that later. What you want, and disregard this also, this really has to do with this down here. What we want to do is choose one of the preset web viewer options. So you have Google Maps and Google Maps Canada and UK and MapQuest and Google Web Search. I think this is the one we're going to use because it's very simple. And it asks you to fill in which field you want. We'll go ahead and find the company field. There it is. Click OK. And it puts together this web address for you so you don't have to know all this stuff. So that's how simple it is. We'll just click OK now. And you see that in there. We'll go into browse mode. Make sure we're on a record that has a company in it, and it's going to automatically do a Google search for you. Now, it's not very big because we're designing for a very small screen here, but you get the idea. We could make it as big as we wanted to. We could open up a new window and show this, and have everything right inside of this web viewer. So again, we're not going to go over the other two tools that we've skipped, the portal and also this chart tool, but I'm going to show you some tips. And the easiest way to show these tips is to go ahead and draw a rectangle on here. So the first one I'm going to do is going to show you how to do smart duplicate. So normally when you duplicate, you get this. It goes offsets by 6 pixels. Well, let's go ahead and delete that, and we'll delete this, and we'll duplicate again. This works with any object. If I duplicate it, and then without deselecting the object, right? So I haven't deselected. If I deselected, this won't work. I go and duplicate again. You notice that it goes exactly the same amount. I can make as many as I want. And I use this all the time. This is great for making a whole bunch of objects in a row real quickly. So that's one cool feature called Smart Duplicate. Another feature I want to show you is how to select all objects of the same type. So if you click on a field, let's say, and we're going to have to ungroup this to get that going. Go ahead and ungroup this. So if I click on an object, like a field, and then go to Select, and select all, it's going to actually select all the objects, not just that one. But if I then go ahead and hold down the Option key on the Macintosh or the Shift key on Windows, what's going to happen is it's going to select same. Just all the fields are selected now. And this actually includes these fields back here. I clicked on them and deselected, but that's why you saw these anchors over here. So that's a quick way I can do it with text blocks. In fact, I can do it this way. I can click on the text tool and not hold down any keys and just do select all. And it'll select just the text. So there's a couple of ways to just select all the text and say, I want to change all the text to Verdana, or I want to select all the fields and fill them with a red color. I want to select all the buttons, or who knows what. All these can be done with a few simple steps. Instead of going shift click, or maybe selecting this and then trying to move over here and shift click that, it just can sometimes be very difficult. And so the select same feature is very handy.